Another Eagles football season is upon us, and that means it's time for one of my favorite segments of the year, my annual season preview chat with the longtime voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese. Hey, Merrill.
Glad to be with you, Jim. Looking forward to a very, very exciting season.
Yeah, Merrill, as you begin, I think it's your 46th season behind the mic. Congrats on
46.
that.
46. Wow. You got it right.
There is a lot of optimism about this year's Eagles team. A lot of so-called experts, in fact, predict the Birds will win the NFC East. How good is this 2022 squad?
I take a deep breath because I've been hearing this for quite a while, and I think they've done a very good job of shoring up some of the weak parts of the roster. And I think if we look at the NFC East objectively, I think they're the best team, as we say on paper, in the NFC East. We know that it's going to be a two-horse race, basically, between them and Dallas. But I think that the Eagles have bolstered their team to quite a degree. And I think at the same time, the Cowboys are a little bit depleted. I mean, one of the great strengths of the Cowboys last year was the passing game, with the trio of receivers that they had with C.D. Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Cedric Wilson. And now Amari Cooper is a Cleveland Brown, Cedric Wilson is a Miami Dolphin. So they're left with C.D. Lamb, who's good, but he can be double covered. Their tight ends are nothing to rave about. I think their defense is very good, led by Micah Parsons, who had just a spectacular rookie year. In fact, I think he was the defensive rookie of the year in the league. But I just think that overall, when you look at the strengths of this Eagles team, it just, to me, looks like an overall stronger roster than the Dallas Cowboys. But as you know, the NFL is a war of attrition. And I say to people, if you can tell me what the rosters will be like when the Eagles and the Cowboys meet on December 24th, I'd have a much better idea of their records.
Yeah, a lot of talent this year for the Eagles for sure. Much of the team's success or failure, of course, will come down to the performance of the quarterback. Are you confident Jalen Hurts, with so many new weapons around him, will take a big step forward?
Yes. See, I didn't waver on that, did I?
Not at all.
I gave you a quick yes, and I am confident because I think he's talented. I think he's dedicated. I think he's a leader. His teammates believe in him, and I think that when you look at the fact that last year he took steps forward, and he's really only started 20 games. So he's basically going into his second year as a starter. And I think that there will be some great growth this season. I think he's done a lot in the offseason to make himself better. The question that we hear so often brought up is about his arm talent. Let me tell you something. This guy has an arm. He's got a great arm. He's been measured by computer to have an arm in the top 15% of the starting quarterbacks in the National Football League. So there is nothing wrong with that arm. He has to improve his decision-making, his ability to read the defense quickly and react, things that young quarterbacks often have to do. I mean, people forget that Aaron Rodgers, who is maybe the best in the National Football League, of course you have to throw Patrick Mahomes in there also, but and of course, Tom Brady's still around, too, at the age of 87 or whatever he is. But when you look at somebody like Aaron Rodgers sat on the Green Bay bench in 2005, 6, and 7 before Brett Favre departed and he took the reins. There's a lot of learning that went on in those 3 years. Drew Brees, who will be in the Hall of Fame in 3 or 4 more years, Drew Brees was okay, but he certainly didn't set the world on fire. Otherwise, San Diego never would have let him go. And he was a free agent. He went to New Orleans. Miami turned him down on a physical, and he ended up with the Saints. And there he linked up with Sean Payton and put together a Hall of Fame career. But it took time. It wasn't overnight.
Everybody is excited about the addition of A.J. Brown and even how he's going to help the fortunes of guys like Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, and Zach Pascal. Now, we really didn't see much of A.J. Brown in the preseason. I know how you feel about preseason games, but how good is he? What's he going to bring to the team?
Everything. He's an elite receiver. I've heard people say he's the best receiver the Eagles have had since T.O. Well, T.O. was, aside from all of his problems, T.O. was a great, great talent. And I'm not sure that I can put A.J. Brown in that category, with the limited exposure that we've had. but I think that he's a great, great talent, and he could be one of the great Eagles wide receivers that we've ever come across. He's that talented.
As for the defense, while the overall statistics, weren't terribly bad last year, they really had trouble getting to the quarterback. Just 29 sacks the entire season. So with the additions of guys like Hassan Reddick and Jordan Davis, the return of Brandon Graham, who seems healthy, plus some actual linebackers for a change, will they be better at putting pressure on the quarterbacks?
Sure, should be. Absolutely should be. I love Jordan Davis. I think he's just going to get better and better, and he's the guy who will crush the pocket and set up the quarterback for the edge rushers like Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat. I think Fletcher Cox will be coming in and out of the lineup, and he'll be fresh, and he looks like he can't wait to get started. Brandon Graham is back, and he is healthy. You talked about the linebackers. I think as the season goes on, you're going to see more and more of Nakobe Dean, who is bright, and he is a great talent. And Kaiser White looks like a great acquisition.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really looking forward to seeing what this defense can do this year. Hey, we're all pretty bullish about the upcoming season, but there are no guarantees, certainly. What's your biggest area of concern, Merrill?
That's a good question. My biggest area of concern is always injury. Now, I say that knowing that this is a deep team. I mean, this is the best or one of the best offensive lines in the National Football League. And I think that the second five, the backup unit, is probably better than some teams' starting five. So I think they do have some depth. But in terms of concern, there's no one area. That's the great thing. They have identified their problem areas. They have identified their needs, and they have filled them. At least on paper, they have filled them. I mean, the pickup the other day of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson as a safety, that was the last area that you wondered about. And now even that is deep. Marcus Epps has had a very, very good preseason. So I think all areas are covered right now. You just have to hope that they stay healthy, that they continue to progress. But I'm not worried about Jalen Hurts. I'm not worried about any one segment of this roster. But you know what? You could go into a season feeling really good about a department, and then you get 3 or 4 injuries in that same department, and all of a sudden you're hunting for people to pick up. I've seen it happen before. You remember a couple of years ago where they went in and all of a sudden they were bringing in all kinds of guys that you'd never heard of to play the secondary. They were just trying to find some people to put back there.
I do remember. Well, from talking with you over the years, Merrill, I know that your least favorite road stadium would have to be FedEx Field in suburban Washington, D.C. But I have a hunch that this year's Week 3 game down there is going to be a whole lot of fun. The quarterback is, well, you know who, and there will be several thousand Eagles fans making the trip down there to say hello to him. You looking forward to that one?
I am. I look forward to every game. You know, I hate to sound like a coach, but a coach would tell you I only take it one game at a time. And right now the team that I'm thinking about is the Detroit Lions, now that we're through the preseason. And I've watched Hard Knocks. And let me tell you something. That team is really getting ready from a physical standpoint. They ought to be coming rushing out of the gates because they've played football all summer, which is not the way a lot of teams do it these days. You know, you can make a case for coming into a season healthy, and you can also make a case for coming into a season in top football physical form, and that's where they are. The Lions have a lot to offer, believe me. Their top draft choice, Aiden Hutchinson, now look, I loved him at the University of Michigan. I thought he was great then. I thought he was the best player of the whole draft. And then after watching him on Hard Knocks, he is a beast. I mean, he is an absolute beast. And I think playing in Detroit, everyone says, well, they're lucky. They get off to a start against a bad team. Lions are not a bad team. In fact, I read a lot of the preseason publications and prognostications. And there are a lot of people picking the Lions second behind Green Bay in the NFC North. So it is not going to be an easy opener.
Yeah, take nobody for granted, that's for sure. Finally, Merrill, I'm thinking that you and I can do this little preseason chat for several years to come because back in March, you signed a 3-year contract extension. Congratulations on that. Do you remember what you told Angelo Catali on WIP about him asking you if you might want to follow him into retirement? Do you remember what you said?
Oh, I'm no way, no way. They're going to have to remove me with a crane. That's how much I love it.
You are the best, Merrill. Thank you very much for doing this for an 8th straight season here on Philly Pressbox Radio. Always great to get your insight. Have a terrific season.
My pleasure, Jim, and let's hope that all the good things come together and we have a season that we can all be very, very excited about.